Imagine a land of incredible diversity, from the snow-capped peaks of Kilimanjaro to the sprawling savannas of the Serengeti. This is modern-day Tanzania, a nation forged in the crucible of history. But just over a century ago, this land was known as German East Africa, and it was the stage for one of the most significant and tragic anti-colonial uprisings in African history, the Maji Maji Rebellion. Today, we are going to uncover the story of this powerful struggle, a story of spiritual belief, desperate resistance, and the brutal realities of colonial power. By the turn of the 20th century, Germany had established its colonial presence in East Africa, a vast territory encompassing present-day Tanzania, Burundi, and Rwanda. For the local people, German rule was not a gentle transition. It meant forced labor, heavy taxation, and the imposition of cash crop cultivation, particularly cotton. Communities that had lived for generations according to their own traditions and rhythms were suddenly forced to grow cotton for distant European markets, often on land that was vital for their own food production. This system was not just economically exploitative, it was a profound disruption of their entire way of life. Resentment simmered beneath the surface, a widespread discontent waiting for a spark to ignite it into a full-blown fire. That spark would come not from a politician or a general, but from a spirit medium, a man who offered a new kind of hope. His name was Kinjekitile Ngwale. Living in Garambe, southern Tanzania, Kinjekitile was a respected spiritual leader. In 1904, he claimed to be possessed by a powerful snake spirit named Hongo. This was not unusual in itself, but what Kinjekitile offered next was revolutionary. He began to distribute a sacred water, a moji in Swahili. This wasn't just any water. Kinjekitile proclaimed that this moji, a mixture of water, castor oil, and millet seeds, possessed extraordinary powers. He told his followers that if they anointed themselves with it, German bullets would turn to water and fall harmlessly from their bodies. The name of the rebellion itself, Maji Maji, comes from this very belief. This message of spiritual protection was incredibly potent. In a world where their traditional weapons were no match for German machine guns, the Maji offered a supernatural advantage. It transformed feelings of powerlessness into a powerful belief in invincibility. Pilgrims flocked in Garambe from all corners of the territory, united by a shared grievance and a newfound faith. Kinjekitile wasn't just offering a magic potion, he was creating a pan-ethnic identity, bringing together diverse groups like the Matumbi, Njindo, and Pagoro who had never before been united in a common cause. His message was simple and powerful: rise up, drive out the Germans, and reclaim your land. The stage was set for a massive confrontation. In late July 1905, the rebellion erupted. Following Kinjekitile's call to action, armed with spears, arrows, and the unwavering belief in the power of Maji, warriors began their attacks. The first target was the small German post at Samanga, and soon, the uprising spread like wildfire across the southern part of the colony. Plantations were burned, trading posts were destroyed, and symbols of colonial authority were targeted. The initial success was intoxicating. The rebels, fueled by their spiritual fervor, overran isolated German outposts and missions. The sheer scale and coordination of the attacks caught the colonial administration completely off guard. They had underestimated the depth of the local people's anger and the unifying power of Kinjekitile's prophecy. For a brief moment, it seemed as if the impossible might happen, that a people armed with faith could indeed drive out a modern European army. However, the German response, when it came, would be swift, organized, and utterly merciless. The initial victories of the Maji Maji warriors would soon collide with the brutal reality of industrial-age warfare. The German government was shocked by the rebellionist ferocity and refused to lose its prized East African colony. They appointed a new governor, Gustav Adolf von Gotzen, a man with a reputation for ruthlessness. His orders were clear: crush the rebellion by any means necessary. Reinforcements, including machine gun units and experienced soldiers, were shipped in from Germany and other colonies. The German counteroffensive was not just about winning battles, it was about breaking the will of the people. Recognizing that they couldn't fight a guerrilla war in the vast bush, the Germans adopted a terrifyingly effective strategy, the scorched-earth policy. They systematically destroyed villages, burned fields, and confiscated grain stores. The logic was cruel and simple: if the warriors wouldn't surrender in battle, their families would be starved into submission. This turned the conflict from a military campaign into a war against the entire civilian population. The magical protection of the Maji proved tragically ineffective against the hail of machine gun bullets. Thousands of warriors were killed in direct combat, their faith shattered on the battlefield. The rebellion's spiritual leader, Kinjekitile Ngwale, was captured early in the conflict, in August 1905, and was publicly hanged for treason. Even so, the resistance continued, but now it was a desperate fight for survival against a foe determined to annihilate them. The famine that resulted from the scorched-earth policy was catastrophic. It was a man-made disaster on an unimaginable scale. With their crops destroyed and food supplies gone, entire regions were plunged into starvation. The death toll was staggering. While tens of thousands died in the fighting, it's estimated that hundreds of thousands more, men, women, and children, perished from starvation and disease in the aftermath.